Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. We're gonna talk about Doctor Who, and it's not good news. It's not good news. There isn't much good news when it comes to Doctor Who these days, except for the possible Hail Mary pass that is the return of Russell T Davies, but even that is gonna be a double-edged sword. We're gonna talk about it. The ratings continue to drop for Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker. But the BBC is also being dealt a massive blow that their annual license fee could be frozen for 2 years. That means less money. Now, Doctor Who is going to be produced by Bad Wolf, which is Russell T Davies' company, but it sounds like the BBC is going to potentially have some major financial problems all the way around. And this has been an issue for the last couple of years. I have to wonder if this isn't part of the reason why we only have 6 episodes of Doctor Who in this season, because it is an expensive show to produce, even with the obvious budget cuts, over the last couple of years, still very expensive. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 239,000, almost 240,000, which is almost 250,000. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Thank you very much for the support. We do talk about Doctor Who, not nearly as much as we used to, because there's not much going on. Again, I was an avid fan of Doctor Who for many, many years, and I dipped out during Chris Chibnall's run on the show, and it really didn't have anything to do with the Doctor being made a woman. I completely understand why people are angry about it, why they're upset about it. But the problem I have with it is the show became very stale, very boring, very preachy, and then the biggest FU to the fans you could imagine, which is them retconning the origin of the Doctor, that the Doctor is no longer a Time Lord. Big, huge middle finger to the fans. Now, the only saving grace in this is the possible return to form via Russell T Davies. I'm still cautious about that because Russell T Davies' opinions have changed a lot over the last decade. He's not quite the same person he used to be, and I have to wonder if some of his current year politics aren't going to creep into Doctor Who on his watch. You can never go home again, right? You can never go home again. But let's talk about the ratings first, and then we're going to talk about the BBC potentially losing funding. Radio Times, Doctor Who overnight ratings revealed for Series 13's War of the Sontarans. This would be the second episode of Flux. So Flux is still, fucked, basically. Overnight figures for Sunday show that War of the Sontarans was watched by 3.96 million viewers. That marks a drop-off of almost 500,000 from last week's Series 13 premiere, which scored 4.43 million in the overnights, which again is bad. It's very bad. The consolidated figures for both the Halloween Apocalypse and War of the Sontarans will take into account how many people watched the episode within 7 days of the original broadcast. Got to move that goalpost, be it on catch-up or recorded version. Doctor Who continues next Sunday with yet another episode. They're not really talking a whole lot about how bad the ratings are. But you can take a look at Series 12 on doctorwhotv.co.uk, and you can see that, we're not doing so great. It's settling back into the lower numbers of Series 12. It's not good. Started out 4.43 million, dropped quite a bit. Now, this is normal. Well, no, they said it's normal. It's actually, that is a pretty steep drop, because even look at last season, and we went from 4.88 million to 4.6 to 4.19. It was a gradual decline. This was a massive drop-off. Right? People are tuning out from the show, for sure. I mean, it's indisputable. You can argue whether or not the show is any good. You can argue whether or not it's been given an unfair shake because of Jodie Whittaker or whatever. But it's very, very clear that people are tuning out from Doctor Who, and they continue to tune out. So I had someone send this over. CCG, I believe, sent this over. Thank you for that. BBC funding blow. Annual license fee could be frozen for 2 years. The BBC looks to have its funding frozen for the next 2 years in a major blow to the corporation's ability to compete with the big players. According to the Daily Telegraph, The fee could stop rising with inflation from next year for 1 or 2 years as the BBC and the government remain in the trenches negotiating over its sum from now until 2027. Along with a small amount of commercial revenue from BBC studios, the BBC is currently funded via the majority of households paying around $214 per year for the license fee, and it has warned it will struggle to keep up with inflated programming costs if this fee stops rising with inflation. And it turns out that they're not going to get much money from Doctor Who under Russell T Davies either. We'll talk about that. It's expected to return to an inflationary rise after 2 years. This has been the situation since 2015. The BBC's preference is for the fee to continue rising with inflation, but UK inflation is predicted to soar by a mammoth 4.4% next year due to the economic impacts of the pandemic, which would mean a sharp rise in the fee, and the UK government is keen to keep taxpayer bills down. License fee was frozen between 2010 and 2015 in a campaign. Campaign groups in support of the BBC have stated this kickstarted a decade-long decline to the BBC's purse in real terms. And you can see it in Doctor Who. I mean, compare Doctor Who now to Doctor Who 10 years ago. And there's a definite difference in quality, I think. Superinflation continues to impact genres such as drama, comedy, and documentaries. In order to compete, the BBC is having to co-produce or seek deficit financing for more and more of its content. This is what happened with His Dark Materials. The BBC is co-producing it with HBO. And I kind of wondered if they weren't going to co-produce Doctor Who with HBO, but apparently that's not going to be the case. But there's still some financial problems. BBC chair Richard Sharp revealed in July that the cost of some of the corporation's biggest series has doubled. Drama costs increased by 35%. It's taking place against the backdrop of the BBC's push to improve diversity and make more of its shows out of London, both of which require an investment, and Bad Wolf is going to move, I believe, Doctor Who to Wales again. The situation could be eased by the government doubling BBC Studios' borrowing limit to £700 million, which would be $944 million US dollars against a recent budget. Director General Tim Davie has been clear the commercial arm will need to pull more weight. Has been clear that the commercial arm will need to pull more weight in order to future-proof the BBC. So, could this be part of the reason that Russell T Davies is taking over Doctor Who? It's not just a quality issue, it's a financial one. That he's going to take responsibility, and the BBC basically has to make Doctor Who make money. Doctor Who used to be a huge moneymaker for them. You know, the merchandising and the, various deals on different TV networks, and it's definitely declined. I mean, if you go to the UK pavilion in Disney, you go to Epcot, you will see a very, very small Doctor Who section. They used to have a massive Doctor Who section with all kinds of toys and action figures and t-shirts and mugs and all that stuff. And now it is a shell of its former self. People have completely lost interest in Doctor Who. So this is coming from Gizmodo. Doctor Who's new era might cost the BBC a pretty penny. Doctor Who has always been expensive to produce, but the new change of hands will see that money go out of the BBC. This could be bad for them. A lot of things are about to change in Doctor Who, and not just in front of the camera. Okay, behind the camera, the impending return of Russell T Davies is going to bring about an interesting change in how Doctor Who has been made for 16 years. Why is Doctor Who not being made by the BBC anymore? The Times reports that part of a new production deal and Davies' return to the series, the BBC could potentially lose up to £40 million, $54.5 million US dollars per 10-episode season of Doctor Who. This isn't because of increases in production costs, because technically the BBC won't solely be making Doctor Who in-house anymore. Since it returned in 2005, the actual making of Doctor Who has been done by the BBC itself and BBC Studios, but when Davies returns in 2023, he's going to work with Bad Wolf Studios to make the show. That's the external production firm run by Doctor Who producers Julie Gardner, and former BBC controller fiction Jane Tranter, and it's rumored to be on the verge of being purchased by Sony. That's interesting. So Sony could actually produce Doctor Who and the BBC could just lease Doctor Who. That's weird. Okay, how is the BBC going to lose money on Doctor Who? Because instead of the typical production cost of the series remaining with the BBC, it will now go to a third party. Again, this is probably because they're running out of money. They're running out of money. That doesn't mean the show will be made at a loss now that the production budget is going outside the corporation. However, Bad Wolf and Davies would be responsible for the creative direction and production of Doctor Who. BBC Worldwide, the latest iteration of the company's commercial arm, will still generate money from the series by sales to international broadcasters and streaming platforms. They're outsourcing Doctor Who, basically. Merchandise deals, etc. BBC Studios is ultimately responsible for delivering the show. Again, though, it feels like they're outsourcing it because of a lack of money. Considering that investment could build on ideas Davies has been yearning to develop for Doctor Who since he last ran the show, to branch it out into spin-offs and other series, production costs going outside the BBC may end up being a small price to pay to bring the sci-fi classic back to the kind of cultural prominence Davies wishes it had. Well, they did it to themselves. The BBC did it to themselves. So this is really interesting that the BBC is going to outsource this. Again, it doesn't surprise me because look at shows like His Dark Materials. It's a co-production. The BBC is running out of money, and it doesn't look like they're going to be making more money anytime soon because they're potentially going to freeze the license fee. God, this is complicated. Just throw more ads on it and call it a day, right? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to watch it. We're going to watch we're not actually going to watch Doctor Who. We're going to watch the ratings drop and the drama around the production of this show. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.